Bloodborne, Saw Cleaver. One of the trick weapons of the workshop, commonly used in the hunting business. This saw, effective at drawing the blood of beasts, transforms into a long cleaver that makes use of centrifugal force. The saw, with its set of bloodletting teeth, has become a symbol of the hunt, and only grows in effectiveness the more grotesquely transformed the beast. Bloodborne, Blood Vial. Special blood used in ministration restores HP. Once a patient has had their blood ministered, a unique but common treatment in Yharnam, successive infusions recall the first and are all the more invigorating for it. No surprise that most Yharnamites are heavy users of blood. Bloodborne, Torch. A common torch formed by wrapping a pine resin-drenched cloth around the end of a long stick. Hunters choose torches not only because the hunt leads them to the darkest nooks, but also because certain creatures they encounter are possessed of a deathly fear of flame. Bloodborne, Oedon Tomb Key. Key to the gate that blocks the tomb of Oedon. Beyond the tomb, Oedon Chapel can be found in the center of the cathedral ward. Only, today, the church is abandoned, and some say that the residents of Oedon have all gone mad. Bloodborne, Bone Ash Armor Set. Armor made of bone ash, worn by the oldest keepers. The keepers, who mined the slumbering Great Ones, gained eternal life, preserved in ashen form, in a ceremony of flame that cremated body and soul. The long pointed hat is a symbol of the old keepers, and is considered evidence of their companionship, forged in a certain sin. Now, their frail armor is white and sinewy, a window into an arcane lost art. Bloodborne, Amygdalan Arm. The arm of a small amygdala great one. Strictly speaking, the Amygdalan Arm is no trick weapon of any sort, but certain madmen wield them like clubs. Starts as a large, tough, blunt weapon formed of bone, but when extended, the arm quivers, as if it was still alive. Bloodborne, Madman's Knowledge. Skull of a madman, touched by the wisdom of the Great Ones. Used to gain insight. Making contact with eldritch wisdom is a blessing, for even if it drives one mad, it allows one to serve a grander purpose, for posterity. Bloodborne, Iosefka's Blood Vial. Blood Vial acquired from Iosefka's clinic. This refined blood, highly invigorating, restores a larger amount of HP. This rare blood vial is a product of a slow and careful refinement process, likely devised by the doctor herself. Bloodborne, Tonsil Stone. A latticed, deformed rock, or perhaps a meteorite. Appears useless, but possesses some old gravitational force that prevents its riddance. A dubious soul once said, "Step lightly round to the right of the great cathedral, and seek an ancient shrouded church. The gift of the Godhead will grant you strength." Bloodborne, Hunter Pistol. Pistol made at the workshop for hunters stalking beasts. Hunter firearms are specially crafted to employ quicksilver bullets, fused with the wielder's own blood, boosting damage against beasts. The pistol is a quicker draw than the blunderbuss, allowing for speedier responses to attacks. Bloodborne, Stake Driver. A trick weapon fashioned by the workshop heretics, the powder kegs, favored by the retired hunter, Jura. The stake driver, with its queerly complex design, violently drives thick stakes into the flesh of foes. The stake driver allows for high damage critical attacks, but is difficult to use and leaves its wielder wide open. But none of this should bother a mere powder keg. Bloodborne, Messenger Top Hat. Hat that messengers are oddly fond of. A nice top hat rounds out any Yharnam gentleman. The inhabitants of the stump appear to have an interest in adornment. Why not let them be happy and revel as babes? Bloodborne, Crowfeather Armor Set. Attire worn by Eileen the Crow, hunter of hunters, known in particular for her crowfeather cape. The beak contains an incense to mask the scents of blood and beast. Hunters of hunters dress as crows to suggest sky burial. The first hunter of hunters came from a foreign land and gave the dead a virtuous native funeral ritual rather than impose a blasphemous Yharnam burial service upon them, with the hope that former compatriots might be returned to the skies and find rest in a hunter's dream. Bloodborne, Blood Dreg. The vile bloods of Cainhurst, bloodlusting hunters, see these frightful things in cold blood. They often appear in the blood of echo fiends, that is to say, the blood of hunters. Queen Annalise partakes in these blood dregs offerings, so that she may one day bear the child of blood, the next vile blood heir. Bloodborne, Tonitrus. A unique trick weapon contrived by Archibald, the infamous eccentric of the Healing Church workshop. Striking this peculiar iron Morningstar flail like a match generates the same blue sparks that blanket a dark beast. Unfortunately, for reasons untold, the hunters of Archibald's time did not fully take to the device. Bloodborne, Knight's Armor Set. Attire of the Knights of Cainhurst, a regal piece graced by intricate goldwork. The wig resembles a ponytail of silver hair, gloves are graced with goldwork on red fabric, and the trousers are made with the finest leather. The Cainhurst way is a mix of nostalgia and bombast. They take great pride even in the blood-stained corpses of beasts they leave behind, confident that they will stand as examples of decadent art. Bloodborne, Shaman Bone Blade. A blade of bone coated with gruesome spinal fluid, used by old labyrinth watchers, in particular those presiding over rituals. When victim is cut by this blade, the green spinal fluid temporarily numbs the senses, disturbing the target's gross motor skills. The blade, never intended for battle, must cut deep to be effective, and breaks. Bloodborne, Threaded Cane. One of the trick weapons of the workshop, commonly used by hunters on their duties. Sufficiently deadly as a rigid bladed cane, but also serves as a whip when its blade is split into many. Concealing this weapon inside the cane and flogging the beast with a whip is partly an act of ceremony, an attempt to demonstrate to oneself that the bloodlust of the hunt will never encroach upon the soul. Bloodborne, Iron Door Key. One of the 3 great bridges that link the 2 cathedral cradles, this key opens the iron door that leads to the mid-level bridge. There are no thieves in the nightmare. Then why lock a door? Be warned, there must be a very, very good reason. Bloodborne, A Call Beyond. One of the secrets of the choir. Long ago, the Healing Church used phantasms to reach a lofty plane of darkness, but failed to make contact with the outer reaches of the cosmos. The rite failed to achieve its intended purpose, but instead created a small exploding star, now a powerful part of the choir's arsenal. At times, failure is the mother of invention. Bloodborne, Great Deep Sea. A secret symbol left by Carol, runesmith of Bergenworth. This transcription of the Great One's inhuman voices depicts downreaching currents. This rune means deep sea and grants augmented resistance. Great volumes of water serve as a bulwark guarding sleep, and an augur of the eldritch truth. Overcome this hindrance, and seek what is yours. Bloodborne, Kirkhammer. A trick weapon typically used by Healing Church hunters. On the one side, an easily handled silver sword, on the other, a giant obtuse stone weapon, characterized by a blunt strike and extreme force of impact. The Church takes a heavy-handed, merciless stance towards the plague of beasts, an irony not lost upon the wielders of this most symbolic weapon. Bloodborne, Ring of Betrothal. The inhuman beings known as the Great Ones imbued this ring of betrothal with some special meaning. In the age of the Great Ones, wedlock was a blood contract, only permitted to those slated to bear a special child. Bloodborne, Orphanage Key. Key to the orphanage, birthplace of the choir. The orphanage, shadowed by the Grand Cathedral, was a place of scholarship and experimentation, where young orphans became potent unseen thinkers for the Healing Church. The choir, that would later split from the Healing Church was a creation of the Orphanage. Bloodborne, Simon's Bowblade. Choice weapon of Simon, one of the first Healing Church hunters. Simon despised firearms, and so the church workshop had this specially fashioned to his liking. The large curved blade serves as a bow when transformed. But, aside from a few close friends, Simon was scoffed at for his choice of arms. For who would dare face the beasts with a measly bow? Bloodborne, Madman Armor Set. Most tomb prospectors, members of the Healing Church, chose to explore the old labyrinth, are unable to withstand the weight of the old knowledge and go mad. This attire is worn by those lost souls. Truth often resembles madness, inaccessible to the dull of mind. Those who go mad are merely thoughtful souls who fail to reach any conclusions. Bloodborne, Bone Marrow Ash. Additional medium that strengthens quicksilver bullets. According to the workshop, this is a special bone marrow ash collected from Hemmick Lane, invaluable to hunters with weak blood tinge, who require the use of stronger firearms. Bloodborne, Lecture Theatre Key. Key to the lecture theatre in the lecture building. Today, the 2-story lecture building is adrift in the nightmare, but once it was a place of reflection where scholars learned of history and archaeology. Perhaps it still is, as the students in the lecture theatre appear to await the return of their professor. Bloodborne, Queenly Flesh. What remains of Annalise, Blood Queen of Cainhurst. This pinkish lump of flesh remains warm, as if cursed. All hail the undying Queen of Blood. Bloodborne, Clockwise Metamorphosis. A secret symbol left by Carol, runesmith of Bergenworth. The twisted cross means metamorphosis. Rotated clockwise, this rune boosts HP. The discovery of blood made their dream of evolution a reality. Metamorphosis, and the excesses and deviation that followed, were only the beginning. Bloodborne, Bolt Paper. Coarse paper that applies bolt to weapons when rubbed. Invented by Archibald, the infamous eccentric of the Healing Church workshop. Artificially recreates the blue sparks that are said to surround dark beasts. Unlike the other strange weapons created by Archibald, this one was favored by many hunters, in particular those who had even once laid eyes on a dark beast. Bloodborne, Student Uniform. Uniform of the students of Bergenworth, a bygone institute of learning. Features a thick cape. The Healing Church has its roots in Bergenworth, and naturally borrows heavily from its uniform design. The focus not on knowledge or thought, but on pure pretension, would surely bring Master Willem to despair, if only he knew. Bloodborne, Chikage. Foreign-made weapon, wielded by the royal guards who protect Annalise, Queen of the Vilebloods at Cainhurst Castle. When the intricate rippled engraving that spans the Chikage's blade is imbrued with blood, the sword sings in scarlet hues. However, the rite eats away at the wielder's very essence. Bloodborne, Wooden Shield. A crude weapon shield used by the masses who have arisen to join the hunt. Hunters do not normally employ shields, ineffectual against the strength of the beasts as they tend to be. Shields are nice, but not if they engender passivity. Bloodborne, Repeating Pistol. Repeating pistol typically used by Healing Church hunters. Crafted with mostly metal parts and exhibiting a complex design, the repeating pistol fires 2 shots at once, making it a ravenous consumer of quicksilver bullets. Should be used sparingly compared to its workshop counterpart, as the trump card in one's arsenal. Bloodborne, Pebble. Small pebbles found throughout Yharnam. Can be thrown at foes. Quite thrilling. Bloodborne, Old Hunter Badge. This hunter's badge, crafted in Gehrman's time, has no practical purpose, except perhaps to assist in romanticizing about the past. The badge was a special privilege of the hunters of the past,
and should not be dishonored. It should be left in peace, unless one is truly prepared to assume the will of those gone before.
Bloodborne, Choir Bell. Special hunter tool of the choir, high-ranking members of the church. Fashioned after a bell that projects an arcane sound across planes of existence. The sound of this smaller silver version of the bell does not cross planes, but grants vigor and healing to all cooperators. Bloodborne, Coldblood Dew. Droplet of cold blood containing blood echoes. Use to gain blood echoes. Hunters sustained by the dream gain strength from blood echoes. They imbibe the blood with thoughts of reverence, indeed gratitude, for their victims. Bloodborne, Blade of Mercy. A special trick weapon passed down among hunters of hunters, one of the oldest weapons of the workshop. Splits into two when activated. The weapon's warped blades are forged with siderite, a rare mineral of the heavens. Most effective in swift attacks, such as after quick-stepping. Bloodborne, Cainhurst Armor Set. Silver armor worn by the royal guards who protect Annalise, queen of the Vilebloods at Cainhurst Castle. This paper-thin silver armor is said to deflect blood of ill intent, and is what allows the royal guards to capture prey for their beloved queen, so that one day she may bear a child of blood. Bloodborne, Small Hair Ornament. A small, very ordinary hair ornament. Although it's been lost for quite some time, one can still see signs of the care with which this tasteful ornament was once kept. Its color would stand out most brilliantly against a head of greyish hair. Bloodborne, Notebook. Messengers are inhabitants of the dream who revere the brave hunters. Use them to send messages to other worlds. Leave notes with messengers, read the notes left to messengers in other worlds, and rate notes to reach out to hunters across planes of existence. Bloodborne, Hunter Chief Emblem. A cloth emblem that belonged to the captain of the church hunters long ago. Opens the main gate that leads to the round plaza of the great cathedral. The main gate is shut tight on nights of the hunt, and could only be opened from the other side with this emblem. In other words, the captain's return, and this emblem, determined the end of the hunt. Bloodborne, Radiant Sword Hunter Badge. One of the badges crafted by the Healing Church. The Radiant Sword indicates the heirs to the will of Ludwig. These hunters, also known as Holy Blades, are what remains of an ancient line of heroes that date back to a very early age of honor and chivalry. Bloodborne, Blood of Adela. Blood taken from Adela, nun of the Healing Church. Restores an amount of HP, then continues to gradually restore HP for a short time. The Healing Church nuns are chosen for their merit as vessels for blood, and groomed as blood saints. The mere chance of being treated with their blood lends legitimacy to the Healing Church and communion. Bloodborne, Executioner Armor Set. Attire worn by the band of executioners commanded by the martyr Logarius. Later became the basis for all church attire, with its heavy draping of holy shawl. The conical gold helmet, symbol of the executioners, represents luminosity, ambition, and an unflagging resolve to face impurity, staring it down with stern golden spirit. The brass rivets are unique to the executioners, and reflect their adoration of hand-to-hand combat. As the great Logarius once said, acts of goodness are not always wise, and acts of evil are not always foolish, but regardless, we shall always strive to be good. Bloodborne, Thick Cold Blood. A thick droplet of cold blood containing blood echoes, used to gain a larger amount of blood echoes. A strong will produces thick blood, doubtless the product of obsession, a potent source of human strength. Bloodborne, Yargle Black Armor Set. Thick black pullover worn by hunters of the unseen village. The hunters of Yargle answer to the village's founders, the School of Mensis. Hunters in name only, these kidnappers blend into the night wearing this attire. Designed primarily to defend from physical attacks, the binding of thick rope serves to both protect its wearer and restrain his foes. Removing the hood reveals something reminiscent of a warrior of a previous age. The headwear is made of metal, a rarity for hunter garb, and has high defense, but only against physical attacks. Bloodborne, Workshop Haze Extractor. A misplaced workshop tool from the hunter's dream. The hunter who retrieves this can extract arcane haze from ritual materials. Oh, but alas, spent materials are lost. Bloodborne, Yharnam Stone. A sacred heirloom left by Yharnam, Thumerian queen. The queen lies dead, but her horrific consciousness is only asleep, and stirs in unsettling motions. Bloodborne, Rifle Spear. A trick weapon crafted by the workshop heretics, the Powder Kegs. A prototype weapon serving as a simple firearm and spear, possibly created in imitation of a lost Cainhurst weapon. Lacks any notable functions, saving that it's the only trick weapon with an attached gun. Bloodborne, Balcony Key. Key to the balcony on the first floor of the research hall. Lady Maria of the Astral Clock Tower gave this to the patient Adeline. Maria had hoped Adeline would find comfort in the faint breeze that carried the scent of flowers from the outside, but Adeline couldn't fathom her intentions. Bloodborne, Sedatives. Liquid medicine concocted at Bergenworth. Calms the nerves. Those who delve into the arcane fall all too easily to madness, and thick human blood serves to calm the frayed nerves of these inquisitive minds. Naturally, this often leads to a reliance on blood ministration. Bloodborne, Bloody Messenger Head Bandage. Accessory adored by naive messengers imitating the bandages of scourge victims, unaware of their meaning. The spatters of blood give it a particularly nice touch. The inhabitants of the swamp appear to have an interest in adornment. Why not let them be happy and revel as babes? Bloodborne, Graveguard Armor Set. Robe of Dores, Graveguard of the Forbidden Woods. Countless bloodied ritual tools hang from its back. The mask's pale countenance mimics the Labyrinth Watchers. Willem kept 2 loyal servants back at Bergenworth. When they were sent in to the Labyrinth, they encountered the Eldritch Truth and went mad. One became the password gatekeeper, while Dores became a graveguard of the forest. Both remained loyal, even in madness. Bloodborne, Eye of a Blood-Drunk Hunter. The eye of a blood-drunk hunter. Its pupil is collapsed and turned to mush, indicating the onset of the scourge of beasts. A hunter who goes drunk with blood is said to be taken by the nightmare, destined to wander forever, engaged in an endless hunt. It is a fate that no hunter can escape. Bloodborne, Beast. A secret symbol left by Carol, runesmith of Bergenworth. A transcription of the roar of a labyrinth beast. The bearer of the Beast rune has accentuated transformation effects. Beast is one of the early Carol runes, as well as one of the first to be deemed forbidden. The discovery of blood entailed the discovery of undesirable beasts. Bloodborne, Old Hunter Bone. The bone of an old hunter whose name is lost. It is said that he was an apprentice to old Gehrman and a practitioner of the quickening, a technique particular to the first hunters. It is most appropriate that hunters, carriers of the torch who are sustained by the dream, would tease an old art from his remains. Bloodborne, Evelyn. Special pistol used by Cainhurst Knights. The Evelyn uses quicksilver bullets just as any workshop firearm, but the Cainhurst variant relies more on blood tinge. Lovingly named after a woman and graced with an intricate design, Evelyns were adored by Cainhurst Knights. Bloodborne, Cainhurst Summons. An old blood-stained summons, inviting an honored guest to the forsaken Castle Cainhurst. Rather bafflingly, it is addressed to you. Do not hesitate. The stagecoach leaves from Hemmick Crossing. Bloodborne, Spark Hunter Badge. Badge crafted in secret by Archibald, the infamous eccentric of the Healing Church, for his friends. Archibald was fascinated by the blue sparks that emanate from the hides of dark beasts, and dedicated his life to its artificial reproduction, in a style of inquiry that, incidentally, closely followed the methodology of Byrgenwerth. Bloodborne. Monocular. Monocular used to view things up close. Not a hunter's tool, but a simple antique, to be used as one sees fit. Bloodborne. Empty phantasm shell. Empty invertebrate shell that is said to be a familiar of a great one. The Healing Church has discovered a great variety of invertebrates, or phantasms, as they are called. Shells with slime still harbor arcane power, and can be rubbed on weapons to imbue them with their strength. Bloodborne. Raita Palash. Weapon wielded by the Knights of Cainhurst, combines an elegant knight's sword with the peculiar firearm wielded by the Cainhurst Order. The old nobles, long-time imbibers of blood, are no strangers to the sanguine plague, and the disposal of beasts was a discreet task left to their servants, or knights, as they were called for the sake of appearances. Bloodborne. Rune Workshop Tool. Runesmith Carroll, student of Byrgenwerth, transcribed the inhuman utterings of the Great Ones into what are now called Carroll runes. The hunter who retrieves this workshop tool can etch Carroll runes into the mind to attain their wondrous strength. Provost Willem would have been proud of Carroll's runes, as they do not rely upon blood in any measure. Bloodborne. Underground Cell Key. Key to the cell below the Grand Cathedral. Hunters are held within the underground cell, so that things better left unseen, and knowledge better left unknown, will decay quietly in the fallow darkness. Bloodborne. Madaras Whistle. Whistle of the Madaras twins, denizens of the Forbidden Woods. The twins grew up alongside a poisonous snake, and developed a silent, inhuman kinship. The poisonous snake grew uncontrollably, raised on a healthy diet of beast entrails. Even after their deaths, it is said to respond to the call of the twins' whistle, from within the nightmare. Bloodborne. Tomb Prospector Garb. Attire of the tomb prospectors who explored the old labyrinth on behalf of the Healing Church. The Healing Church traces its roots to Byrgenwerth, and is therefore aware of the ruins' true importance. They contain much more than mere hunted trinkets. Indeed, they hide the very secrets of the old Great Ones, sought after by those with the insight to imagine greatness. Bloodborne. Oil Urn. When this urn hits its mark, the target is drenched in oil and made extremely flammable. Fire is commonplace on the hunt, and oil urns accentuate its effect. Sometimes, when hunters burn beasts, they appear intoxicated by the euphoria of purification. Bloodborne. Lunarium Key. Key to the lunarium facing the lake on the second floor of Byrgenwerth College. In his final years, Master Willem was fond of the lookout, and the rocking chair that he kept there for meditation. In the end, it is said, he left his secret with the lake. Bloodborne. Wheel Hunter Badge. Martyr Logarius led a band of executioners, and this badge was crafted at their dedicated workshop. The wheel symbolizes righteous destiny. Their workshop was a secretive enclave of mystical beliefs and heady fanaticism, which served as the backbone of the executioner's unique brand of justice. Bloodborne. Silencing Blank. Hunters are linked by the resonance of bells with special encoded timbres. This inaudible burst disrupts such resonance. Fire to end cooperation and prevent further cooperation. Firing this does not disrupt the resonance of a sinister bell. Bloodborne. Hunter Axe. One of the trick weapons of the workshop, commonly used on the hunt. Retains the qualities of an axe, but offers wider palette of attacks by transforming. Boasts a high, heavy blunt attack, leading to high rally potential. No matter their pasts, beasts are no more than beasts. Some choose this axe to play the part of executioner. Bloodborne. Poison Knife. A knife slathered in poison. This curved knife is as thin and sharp as a surgeon's blade.
often used for self-defense by special doctors in the healing church. They say that hunters traditionally avoid the use of poison, likely because the poison is too slow to act in the heat of the hunt. Bloodborne, Blacksky Eye. Soft eye blessed by a phantasm. They were discovered through Bergenworth's contact with the arcane, but in the end revealed nothing. Deep within the eye lies a vast stretch of dark sky that rumbles with an endless meteor storm. The slightest rub of the tiny orb, and the rock will tumble and soar. Bloodborne, Lawrence's Skull. Skull of Lawrence, first vicar of the healing church. In reality, he became the first cleric beast, and his human skull only exists within the nightmare. The skull is a symbol of Lawrence's past, and what he failed to protect. He's destined to seek his skull, but even if he found it, it could never restore his memories. Bloodborne, Vermin. A centipede-like creature discovered on successful hunts by League hunters. Vermin, found within filth, are only seen by League confederates, and are the root of man's impurity. The League has assumed the task of finding and crushing all vermin. Perhaps there is some mercy in the madness. Those who wish to see vermin can, and those who choose to are provided with boundless purpose. Bloodborne, Celestial Dial. A celestial dial that functions with the giant astral clock in the Grand Cathedral. When the dial is held up towards the astral clock, the clock will come to life and reveal a secret to its curious interloper. Bloodborne, Corruption. A secret symbol left by Carol, runesmith of Bergenworth. Several runes contain a nuance of blood, including the rune of corruption, associated with the Oath of the Corrupt. Pledges to this oath are Cainhurst Vilebloods, hunters of blood who find dregs for their queen in Coldblood, particularly in that of hunters. Yet the corrupt are heretics in the eyes of the church, and thus subject to the wrath of the executioners. Bloodborne, Upper Cathedral Key. The key to the Upper Cathedral Ward seal. The upper echelons of the healing church are formed by the School of Mensis, based in the Unseen Village, and the choir, occupying the Upper Cathedral Ward. This key brings one a step closer to the choir. Bloodborne, Maria Hunter Garb. Among the first hunters, all students of Gehrman, was the Lady Hunter Maria. This was her hunter's garb, crafted in Cainhurst. Maria is distantly related to the undead queen, but had great admiration for Gehrman, unaware of his curious mania. Bloodborne, Logarius' Wheel. Weapon wielded by Martyr Logarius' band of executioners, used to slaughter the Vilebloods at Cainhurst, bathed in pools of their blood and forever steeped in their ire. Transformed to release the power of the wheel and manifest their lingering rage in a show of utter brilliance. Bloodborne, Formless Oedon. A secret symbol left by Carol, runesmith of Bergenworth. The Great One, Oedon, lacking form, exists only in voice, and is symbolized by this rune. Those who memorize it enjoy a larger supply of quicksilver bullets. Human or no, the oozing blood is a medium of the highest grade, and the essence of the formless Great One, Oedon. Both Oedon and his inadvertent worshippers surreptitiously seek the precious blood. Bloodborne, Firing Hammer Badge. Badge crafted by the Autor Workshop, precursor to the workshop of the heretical Powder Kegs. The Powder Kegs were driven by singular ideas and crafted strange weapons of great intricacy. It is clear that the philosophy of the Powder Kegs was already established at this time. Bloodborne, Tiny Tonitrus. Tonitrus is a unique weapon crafted by Archibald, the infamous eccentric of the Healing Church workshop. This is a similar Morningstar mace that utilizes quicksilver bullets. When struck into the ground, it recreates the blue sparks that are said to surround the dark beasts. Like Archibald's masterpiece, this too is a superb conductor of the powerful blue sparks. Bloodborne, Blood of Ariana. Blood taken from Ariana, Cathedral Ward Woman of Pleasure. The sweet blood of Ariana restores HP and temporarily speeds stamina recovery. A member of the Old Healing Church would know that her blood is similar to precisely what was once forbidden.
Bloodborne, Lock Shield. An artisanal shield crafted with blue glass, originally used to safeguard the leader presiding over a sacred healing church ceremony, and later supplied to tomb prospectors, in particular those exploring the labyrinth of Ys. The blue is fashioned after a lake, and the shield greatly reduces all forms of non-physical damage. Bloodborne, Cainhurst Badge. Badge of the Royal Guards of Cainhurst, loyal guardians of the Vile Blood Queen Annalise. The Vile Bloods are hunters of blood, and hunt prey as they search for blood dregs. The hunter who joins them is faced with a decision, to merely borrow their strength, or to become one of them, heart and soul. Bloodborne, Fire Paper. Coarse paper that applies fire to weapons when rubbed. A hunter tool found in the Healing Church workshop. Since the tragedy that struck Old Yharnam, fire has become a staple in beast hunts, and is thought to cleanse impurity. Certain types of beasts have an abnormal fear of flame. Bloodborne, Frenzied Cold Blood. A rich droplet of cold blood containing blood echoes, used to gain frenzied blood echoes. This manifestation of madness comes from a mind teetering on the very brink. But has a sane mind ever produced anything of true significance? Bloodborne, Eye Pendant. An eye pendant which unlocks the surgery altar. There are two cathedrals in the hunter's dream. One lies past the river of blood, and another contains the private research hall of the Healing Church. Only chosen members of the Healing Church, or their lamentable patients, can enter the research hall using this eye. Grants eyes to the surgery altar skull. Bloodborne, Air. A carol rune that transcribes inhuman sounds. The air sees sentimentality in the warmth of blood, and acknowledges visceral attacks as one of the darker hunter techniques. More blood echoes gained from visceral attacks. Perhaps the air is a hunter who bears the echoing will of those before him. Bloodborne, Ashen Hunter Garb. Attire of the retired hunter Jura, painted with ash in a ceremony to ward off blood. Jura is known through his contact with the powder kegs, the heretics of the workshop. He is said to have been both uncommonly kind and dreadfully foolish. Jura felt defeated by the state of Old Yharnam, and renounced his hunter's vows. Bloodborne, Lead Elixir. A heavy, syrupy, liquid medicine. Temporarily shifts weight to make deflection of attacks easier, but must be used with care, as it also slows movement with no change to defense. The recipe for this mysterious concoction is unknown, but some postulate that it only materializes within the most desperate nightmares. Bloodborne, Unopened Summons. An old sealed summons. Like the first of its kind, it is an invitation to Cainhurst, but for whom is not known, as it lacks addressee. Bloodborne, Saw Spear. One of the trick weapons of the workshop, commonly used by those who dedicate themselves to the hunt. This saw, effective at drawing the blood of beasts, transforms into a medium-range spear. The saw with its set of bloodletting teeth has become a symbol of the hunt, and only grows in effectiveness the more grotesquely transformed the beast. Bloodborne, Short Ritual Root Chalice. One of the root chalices that breaks various seals in the old labyrinth. The glass chalice, when full, is used in a short ritual to quickly create and join a chalice dungeon, not for use in a ritual using standard materials. Short rituals are conducted at the makeshift altar. Bloodborne, League Staff. The League Staff is a sign of a confederate. A directory within the hilt lists the names of fellow confederates.
Members of the League brandish this staff to indicate themselves to fellow members of the League. There shall be no sympathy for those engaged in the bloody mission of the League, no matter that an oath must be taken to uphold the illusion. Bloodborne, Crow Hunter Badge. Badge of a hunter of hunters, who hunts those who have become addled with blood. The badge of the hunter of hunters is quietly passed down from generation to generation, usually to an outsider from the hinterlands. To be entrusted with this cursed badge, one must be strong, resilient to the seduction of blood, and gracious when taking a comrade's life. Bloodborne, Underground Cell Inner Chamber Key. Key to the inner chamber of the cell below the Grand Cathedral. The innermost chamber of the underground cell holds a lone madman. He wears a beast hide and rings a bell that emits no sound. Unending death awaits those who can hear the soundless bell.
Bloodborne, Executioner's Gloves. One of the secret treasures hidden in Cainhurst, the gloves of an executioner from a faraway land. Passed from executioner father to executioner son, these gloves can be used to summon wrathful spirits of the past by smearing them with blood. It is said that the nobles found immeasurable delight in the dances of these vengeful spectres.
Bloodborne, Cosmic Eye Watcher Badge. Badge of a member of the choir, elites of the Healing Church. The eye signifies the very cosmos. The choir stumbled upon an epiphany, very suddenly and quite by accident. Here we stand, feet planted in the earth, but might the cosmos be very near to us, only just above our heads?
Bloodborne, Impurity. A Carol rune that transcribes inhuman sounds. This rune, discovered inside the forbidden Beast Eater, came to symbolize impurity and the oath of the League. Confederates of the League cooperate with hunters from other worlds and hunt to discover vermin. Vermin writhe within filth and are the root of man's impurity. Crush all vermin without hesitation. Bloodborne, Burial Blade. Trick weapon wielded by Gammon, the first hunter. A masterpiece that defined the entire array of weapons crafted at the workshop. Its blade is forged with siderite, said to have fallen from the heavens. Gammon surely saw the hunt as a dirge of farewell, wishing only that his prey might rest in peace, never again to awaken to another harrowing nightmare.
Bloodborne, Throwing Knife. Throwing knife with a finely serrated blade. One of the old hunter Henrik's favorite weapons. Does not cause a great deal of damage to beasts, but with deft use can distract attackers and keep them at bay. Bloodborne, Red Messenger Ribbon. Red ribbon that messengers are oddly fond of. The thick pungent red was drawn from the organs of some unfortunate victim. A strange choice indeed, but perhaps for the messengers, wearing this accessory constitutes a form of mourning. Bloodborne, Powder Keg Hunter Badge. Badge crafted by the Powder Kegs, the heretics of the workshop. The Powder Kegs' adoration of complex design and big booms culminated in weapon designs that contrast with those traditionally of the workshop. The late Powder Kegs, bless their souls, had a motto: "If a weapon ain't got kick, it just ain't worth it." Bloodborne, Blood of Adeline. Blood taken from Adeline, patient of the research hall. Restores HP and continues to rejuvenate HP for some time. Adeline was originally one of the blood saints who received treatment by the church to cultivate worthy blood. Adeline's was one of the few cases that turned out favorably.